So every government should be thinking about this. If the government is thinking about it, it's not an afterthought. I don't believe that 8 months in the second term is an afterthought for anybody.
Meanwhile, it had dismissed claims by the minority some 600 million Ghana cedis has already been spent on the project without any explanation.
And maybe when we look at the budget, we will see if 600 million has actually been spent. I don't believe that.
We'll hear from the Presidential Advice on Health and bring you the reaction of the minority. And Top Story is brought to you by Gasem, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. Together we can. My name is Ernest Manu. Tonight, government has mounted a strong defense of its Agenda 111 hospital project aimed at improving healthcare infrastructure and ultimately healthcare delivery. The project, scheduled to be completed in 18 months, is expected to deliver to each district a world-class health facility capable of attending to all major ailments. Now, the opposition NDC and their MPs in Parliament have already raised concerns and questioned government's ability to carry through the project. The former president, John Dramani Mahama, yesterday on his thank you tour in the Upper East region, said government only introduced Agenda 111 after it realized it had nothing to show in the area of infrastructure, especially in the area of healthcare delivery.
We're criticized by our successors, as overborrowing. But like you were saying, a lot of what we borrowed for was tangible for people to be able to see. From 120 billion cedis total public debt, today we're almost hitting 400 billion, 370 something billion public debt, and what most Ghanaians ask is, what have we done with this money? It looks like most of it has gone into consumption rather than into providing the kind of infrastructure, that we need. It's only as an afterthought that suddenly they realize that, we must be doing some infrastructure. So Agenda 111 has been conjured.
So that is former President John Dramani Mahama yesterday speaking in the Upper East region. But today, the Presidential Advice on Health, Dr. Anthony Siasare, has responded, rejecting the description of the project as an afterthought. Now, in fact, he says the Akufo-Addo government is visionary and has the will to implement the project for the growth of the country.
That every hospital project that you have has a source of funding. If it's Eurojet funding, if it is VAMED funding, if it's NMSI funding, you don't go and use Eurojet funds to go and do NMSI funding because they are external funding. And this, what we are going to do, government is going to fund it. And I'm sure somebody will ask, where are you going to get the money from? But where there's a will, then there's a way. So if you don't have the will, you won't have the way. But if you have a government which has a will, which has a vision, and the vision, I believe that when you're having a vision, you don't have small visions. Small visions are no vision. And it's in the good book, the Bible, that if you don't have vision, it means you are lost. So this government has vision. And if you look at it, the government has a vision towards human capital development. One, digitization to make sure that we have smart economy in this country. The second one is to have educated people in this country, the free SHS. And to me, the third one, which I'm very happy about, is to have healthy people who will do all the work in the country to create wealth. So these are the three cardinal points that I see that the government is trying to do to improve the status of the economy of this country. So when we look at it, we realize that there are some districts. If you put a district hospital in one place, if you are going to build the 88, they still have a problem because if you look, I'll take a district like Achuma-Kwangma. Achuma-Kwangma is like a U covering the whole of the former Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. So if you put a hospital which is being put by VAMED at Twedie, which is the western part of Achuma-Kwangma, and then you leave the Kwangma side, which is the eastern part of Achuma-Kwangma, which has a population growth of over 200,000. The place is growing. Then nobody can pass through the Kwangma side, go through Kumasi, and go to Twedie. So we look at all these things, And then it was decided that let's add some hospitals to some places so that everybody will have access to good, healthy, and quality health systems. And that's the reason why we reached 101. So the Agenda 111 consists of 101 district hospitals, state-of-the-art, fully furnished, fit-for-purpose hospitals. Agenda 111 is moving Ghana from where we are towards universal health coverage.
Dr. Anthony Isiasari there. He's the Presidential Advisor on Health. My colleague Maxwell Adodba was at that news conference organized today. He joins me in the studio. Maxwell, let's start with the minority statement issued today. They raised issues with some monies expended that they claim have not been properly explained. First, some 600 and another 36 million Ghana cedis. What exactly are they saying?
Exactly, Ernest. The statement actually says the minority in Parliament would like to call on the Akufo-Addo administration to expeditiously account for a colossal sum of 636 million Ghana cedis already utilized on the Agenda 111 projects. Although yesterday generally marked the commencement of works on 87 sites out of the 111 envisaged under the Agenda 111 project and should have heralded great celebrations across the length and breadth of the country, the minority is of the view that government has some explanations to give on how it spends 636 million Ghana cedis as detailed in Appendix 4D and 4E of the 2021 Media Budget Review. And the statement says that according to that, some 36 million Ghana cedis has been spent on project designs, consultants, and coordinators this year. However, the sum of 600 million Ghana cedis released and utilized in 2020 has no details whatsoever. They say it is therefore necessary that government explains the purpose for which it applied the 600 million Ghana cedis as indicated in the 2021 Media Budget Review.
So this issue came up today at the news conference. You put that question to the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Isiasari. What was his response?
Well, he says he does not believe that because coordinators working on the project were busy in the office.
And maybe when you look at the budget, we will see if 600 million has actually been spent. I don't believe that. I know that for the past 1 year, this committee plus the project steering committee and all the subcommittees have been sitting in the office, in the rooms and closed doors, and we've been working assiduously towards this. That's the reason why yesterday it ended up that the president have to commence the projects.
So that is his response to the issue of 600 million cedis that has been expended allegedly by the minority without explanation. He is saying that he does not believe that amount of money has been spent. But in the minority statement again, there's the issue of abandoned project, and they indeed, because of that, question government's commitment to the Agenda 111 and in fact its ability to complete the project.
Well, they listed some projects littered across the country. And they listed some projects littered across the country, and they say it includes a 60-bed district hospital at Kumeu, 60-bed district hospitals at Kumeu, Chifopraso, Nkoko, Salaga, Abetifi, and Fomena. And then they also mentioned the 500-bed 37 military hospital at Aferi, and a 250-bed Kumasi Regional Hospital in Siwa. They say in the case of the Fomena District Hospital, it was 85% complete at the time the NDC handed over power to the NPP in January 2017, but still remains uncompleted after 5 years of the NPP administration. They say that Ghanaians can no longer accept the ad hoc measures of irregular allocation of funds for critical projects by the Akufo-Addo administration, and it must apprise itself of the fact that it has 3 more years to end its term of disappointing governance in us.
But fortunately, the health minister was at the news conference, even though he left soon after his delivery. What was his response to this particular issue raised by the minority in Parliament?
Well, he's been giving us updates on the status of quite a number of projects across the length and breadth of the country. He says that because of the pandemic actually derailed scheduled plans on the timelines that they had wanted to reach with some of the projects, but he says that a lot of them are ongoing now. And in fact, after his presentation, we had someone from the ministry to give us a slight presentation showing pictures about the status of some of the projects that are ongoing now.
And I'm proud to stand before you to say that since I joined the ministry, no project has been abandoned. Last year, we did a lot of sword cutting on some projects. And we are being asked questions as to why these projects have not started or have not completed. Let me state that it looks like very soon, very quickly, all of us Ghanaians are forgetting about the fact that the world was hit by a pandemic which disrupted normal economic activities. Projects like La, Shama, 12 different hospitals to be done by just one contractor funded from you. With this socrating for all of these, in October, November, by December, COVID second wave has hit Europe and this attended disruptions. Up to even today, some banks are still practicing that social distancing model for workers. Flight disruptions and cancellations and restrictions and quarantine and certain demands at certain airports wouldn't allow easily contractors and engineers who are coming to engage us. Insurance companies that were underwriting these facilities that actually entered into, borrowed to work. Some of them, they will send you messages about people not at work. And these are things that have actually delayed some of the projects we did short-cutting for. You wouldn't deliberately do if you haven't got monies to do. All of these projects we did short-cutting because we have had cabinet and parliamentary approvals, and finance has given us the go-ahead to start with. And Vamed alone is mobilizing to 12 different sites and La. Next week, you will see work, even now, preliminary works ongoing in these places. And so the cry of, we haven't started, we are not doing nothing, can't be actually taken seriously. Projects that we inherited, I can categorize them. We had a contractor we call NMS, supposed to do about 6 projects. The only single project that was completed under this arrangement was the Dodua Candy Flats for workers. We did an assessment with finance. What came up was the fact that the monies left couldn't complete the projects that had not been undertaken. We have triggered the continuation of Eurojet projects that was started by President Kufuor, left abandoned, not done. Now we've completed significant portion of these projects. Tepa is online, Nsoko is online, Upper West Regional Hospital is online, the one in Central Region, Asing is online. He will show you all these facilities. So which ones? Garu, there was no work there. They didn't leave any money as part of the package. We started looking for money. And luckily, we will soon see some work in Garu and even Timpani. So which ones have we abandoned? Konfanochi maternity block was left undone for 45 years. Now go there and see what is happening in Konfanochi. Kolebu, if you go there now, you'll see some good work being done. The nephrology center, the maternity block. We are now looking for funding to try and tackle the surgical block that is looking so nasty in Kolebu. UGMC phase 2 is virtually completed now. The place has been operationalized and is working. We even came to do some extra work on Ridge phase 1. Ridge phase 2 had problems because after change of government in the US, the funding agency, American Exim, we met them on 2 occasions. They didn't make provision for the phase 2.
So that is the health minister giving us a long list of facilities and the status of those projects. Essentially, he says COVID-19 affected the progress of many of the projects. But again, in the minority statement, they talk about job for the boys. What is the context of that allegation they raised?
Well, and as it says, another major concern is the fact that government has decided to employ a team of project coordinators at the presidency under the supervision of the chief of staff to implement this project, sidestepping the statutorily mandated agency, the Ministry of Health, where government has all the technical experts with the requisite know-how and experience to implement these projects. It says that we believe it is not proper for the chief of staff operating under the office of the president to be hand-picking contractors for a major government project such as Agenda 111, while the Ministry of Health is pushed aside.
And there was a response to this as well at the news conference today.
Yes, the presidential advisor on health actually said that this is a flagship project which is really on the heart of the president, and he wants to oversee and ensure that it is delivered and delivered very well.
His Excellency the President, this is a flagship program, and he wants it to be in his office under his watch. And the project coordinating committee is made up of Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and then the Honorable Chief of Staff is the chairperson, of people from the office of the president. We have other subcommittees, which are the technical subcommittees. We involve the technical members from the Ministry of Health, technical members from the Ghana Health Service, and technical people from also the consultants who are there. And as I said, there are 14 zonal consultants. So it's not that we've left anybody outside and the government is doing that. The president wants to have oversight responsibility over this so that it works. I'm sure that's what Ghanaians want. That's what everybody will want to see, that this project is done and done very well.
Let's go to the phone lines now. We are joined by the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Akando. We are grateful for your time here on Top Story. Also on the other line is the president of the NGOs in Health, Coalition of NGOs in Health, Bright Emisa. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time here on Top Story. Let me start with you, Mr. Akando. Today, government the presidential advice on health said you raised issue first of all with the steering committee that had been created at the presidency to oversee this project. Now the explanation being given to this is that the president wants to have direct oversight over the project. Where is the illegality in having a steering committee at the presidency overseeing such a project?
My brother, you see, we must begin to ask questions, and legitimate ones, of course. There is no project in this country which should not be important to the president. We have divided the sectors into ministry, and in the history of this country, all health infrastructure has been under the Ministry of Health. Look, last year, the president declared last year as a year of rules, and then this year too as a year of rules. So are you saying that awarding contract from the presidency or the year of rules is not flashed to the president? That's what we are told. You understand? For me, it's another vehicle to create loot and share. Simplicity. Because you see, as a country, all the experts and technical directors at the Ministry of Health can help implement this program smoothly.
But we're told by the presidential advice on health today, Dr. Anthony Siansari, that all these technical people you mentioned are part of the steering committee. Indeed, we had one of the technocrats from the ministry address the news conference that was held today.
So that is even the more reason why we should leave it. What have we been told the reason why it is not the Ministry of Health implementing this policy? Is it the case that they are incompetent and that they cannot implement this policy? Have we been told why that this thing has been set up in the presidency?
It is a flagship project of government.
It's another vehicle to loot. Do you know that even once we have not laid a single block, people are driving in Land Cruisers in the name of Agenda 111. We have spent about 600 million Ghana cedis on Agenda 111. Where is the money? In fact, the total amount of money we have spent before the commencement of the program is 636 million. 636 million. Where is that money? What has the money been used for?
And on that very issue of the 636 million, we put that to the presidential advice on health. He says he does not believe that amount of money has been spent. He was booked. He was booked. Just let me make the point. He was booked for Top Story, so we could, peruse this further, because we have made our checks. We have looked at the media budget review, and indeed, like you stated in your press release, when you go to Appendix 4D and E, those monies are there. In fact, point 3 of 4E or 4D states health infrastructure, provision of health infrastructure, and in brackets Agenda 111 district and regional hospitals. Then the figure is put at 600 million. But of course, we do not have him currently to speak to us. He tells my producer he's in a meeting.
The matter is that he doesn't know anything about the sector. He doesn't appear before the committee, and he sits in the presidency and responds to issues when he's pushed. How can you say you don't know anything about that and that it is not true when you have not even checked the first place? This is a public document. The presidency has spent 636 million Ghana cedis, and we just commenced the project, while not a single block has been laid at any site. Where is the money?
Mr. Kando, please hold the line for me on that very point about the steering committee and the money. Let me put that to the president of the NGOs in health. Mr. Emisa, is it really a big deal to have the president put up a steering committee to, spearhead such a project? This is a flagship project of government to change the health sector. Is it a big deal?
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished listeners. It's really a big deal to us. As we have a health sector, I believe they should have coordinated this. Talking about flagship programs by government has made a lot of flagship pronouncements in the past years. The free SHS was one. The Tema interchange, the Pukwasi, and all those things. It seems about 4 interchanges at the same time was going on. It was a flagship program. The 1D1F was one of them, and then so many others that we've seen the president initiated. And they were all initiated under the same sector ministries who were doing the same work. So what is unique about the Agenda 111 that it has to be coordinated by a different body? It is still to be coordinated by the ministry. The whole project is about health. And they have the capacity, they have the technical expertise and personnel. When it comes to issues of procurement, how are we going to consider that being done if it has to be coordinated from a different source and then under the presidency himself?
Well, the assurance was given today that the procurement processes have been followed.
And that is what must wait.
We're given the assurance today at that press conference that the procurement processes have been followed. Should we take that for it?
Yes, but followed in what? Within a coordinated body. Procurement processes must be seated in a sector where you can easily track issues of accountability. So you have brought 4 different sector heads together, and then who is coordinating what? And he said it's being chaired by the chief of staff.
The chief of staff, yes.
Yes, it's being chaired by the chief of staff. Is the presidency becoming a direct implementer while the sectors are there? We don't believe in that. You created these sectors and then assign it to ministers which you think are very competent to do the work. And they have systems in place. They have all their structures well in place. And I believe this is not, it is just like one of any other project. Like you are doing the year of roads. The roads ministry is handling all that. Like you are doing for the free SHS. Apart from the free SHS secretariat, it is still the education ministry that is doing that. Just like any other. So, I mean, it should just sit within the ministry. President can still call cabinet meetings, and the cabinet minister, the health minister, who is a member of the cabinet ministry, could also report to the president. And we think that is fit for purpose.
And yesterday you raised issue with the source of funding and timelines that have been given. Today at the news conference, we have been told that the government of Ghana will fund this project, and indeed government has the will to ensure that it is completed. You have been asked to look at the free SHS, for instance, and all the skepticism that greeted it and its implementation regardless. For them is the confidence you must have in government to implement this project. Satisfied with this?
No, not satisfied. We have not said government cannot do it. We said we are happy and we commended government for the bold initiative. However, you should show us the source of funding, and it's now saying government of Ghana. Now let's ask the critical question. What is our annual total revenue? And then how is it distributed among the sectors? And if you are considering Agenda 111 alone for that amount, that quantum of amount, it is still not enough to say government of Ghana will fund it. No. Where are we going to raise all the money within the year? Look at the stipulated time, 12 to 18 month period. Are we able to raise that budget to fund this project to its final completion? And these are the critical questions that we are asking. So if you come to say government will fund it, it's just not enough. Are we mobilizing the funds domestically? Are we getting partners to support and all that?
Okay.
For what and all those things is supposed to come clear on that. And to us, we are not just satisfied to see that it is GOG project and it ends there.
We still have the ranking member on health, Kwabena Mita Kando, with us on the line. Mr. Kando, in your press release today, you raised issue with, you claim that the steering committee is handpicking contractors for this project. You didn't provide any evidence to back that.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
So what procurement processes did they follow? What procurement processes did they follow? They're just all over handpicking, contractors for this project.
What is the evidence to support that? That is the question I'm asking.
This is a question. Did they react? Did they tell us the processes they followed? They are supposed to tell us the processes they followed. On arriving at these contractors they have selected. You know, I sit on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, and I'm the ranking member on the committee, and I tell you that we know very little, if anything at all, about this project. Very little, if anything at all, about this project. During the 2021 budget estimate, we requested details on the Agenda 111, and as I speak to you now, not a lot of paper has been submitted to the committee. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So it's something they are cooking to do their own thing, and we will not allow that to happen. How can you start a project, and before the commencement of the project, you have spent about 636 million Ghana cedis, and when they are asking you, say you think it's not true. You are not even competent enough to respond to issues of that nature. Because I am telling you something from your own document you submitted to the good people of this country. You know, look, let me tell you one thing. We have a lot of abandoned hospitals in this country. You inherited about more than 4 years ago. If you are going to use about 12 months to start from scratch a hospital, and you have inherited a hospital that was about 85% complete, and I'm referring to the Pomona Hospital. And as I speak to you now, you have not been able to complete those projects and operationalize them. You are telling me that you are going to build 111 hospitals in the next 2 or 3 years.
Mr. Kando, we're running out of time on this. Just briefly on the issue of accounting for the 636 million Ghana cedis. What will you do? Because you are the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament.
I will follow it to the logical conclusion. We will find out where this money is, what they have used this money for. We will never allow this thing to go under the carpet. We will follow it to its logical conclusion.
And that would mean what? Inviting the finance minister to respond?
Exactly. We will invite the finance minister to come and respond. We will invite the health minister to come and respond. And we will do press conferences. We will make motions. And we will move for another investigation into this issue.
Thank you very much. That's the ranking member on health, Kobna Kando. Earlier, we're joined by the president of the Coalition of NGOs in Health, Bright Emisa. That's it for Top Story, brought to you by Gassem, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. Together we can. Newsnight comes up shortly after these messages.